Thank
There's Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Andrew.
Hear us.
I have a nephew whose name is
Andrew.
Right, and they call him Drew. So, yeah. Hello.
Oh,
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Sarah.
good. Let me change my name here. My son uses my computer.
Well, at least he didn't change you into a cat.
Right.
Yeah.
There we go. How's everyone doing?
Pretty good.
Doing
Thanks.
well.
Good.
Good to see everybody.
I see Jennifer.
There's Mary Beth and Sandra. Good to see everybody.
Hey there.
Oh, Jennifer. Hi there.
I'm going to step away for just a second. I'll be right back.
Sure. We're waiting for a few more folks. So
I keep thinking it's already July.
I know. Well,
Happy
I
end
know.
of
20-some
June,
hours.
everybody.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're going to wait for just a few more minutes. It sure is good to see everybody. It's good to be back in the office. And you won't be hearing my dog going off
Right.
or trying to get in my lap.
Yeah. But dogs are allowed on Zoom. Dogs and cats.
They are. Yeah, my dog's just a little too big for my lap, although he doesn't realize that.
Ah, yeah.
I'm back. Sorry
Great.
about that.
It's okay. Well, I guess we're filling up here, so why don't we go ahead and get started? So we're going to put up the agenda real quick. And just welcome everybody. Really glad to have you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I froze there for a second. Does everyone see the agenda now?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I wanted to give a quick organizational update. We do have a meeting scheduled for July. In general, normally we wouldn't, but this time we're going to because we have the 4 new council members are joining us. This will be another virtual Zoom meeting. But we have Jesse Moreno and Paul Ridley, Gay Donald Willis, and Janie Schultz are all going to join us. And we're going to give them each, 10 minutes or so to talk about, how they think about the arts and also their priorities for their district. So I hope you'll all come back for that. We certainly want to welcome our new council members. All 4 of them are very arts friendly, so that's good news. And we just want to continue to engage with them to make sure they stay arts friendly. So, and then in August, we were thinking about having a meeting in person and asking all of our cultural affairs commissioners to join us and really just treat it like a meet and greet. And then, maybe do a brief overview of our advocacy priorities for the arts so that they'll know what we're thinking about. And then following that, one of the things I wanted to throw out there today, and we can, kind of discuss it real quickly, is going forward, do we want to continue to have some of our meetings on Zoom, or all of our meetings, or every other meeting, or all meetings back in person? Hybrid meetings are a little bit tricky and difficult. So, I mean, that's something we can consider, but that's more technically difficult. And you don't get the engagement as, either way, you don't get the engagement that you would hope to get if you're either all virtual or all in person. So let me just throw that out there and welcome comments. See what everybody thinks about how we should do our meetings going forward. Any comments?
I'm not going to lie, I kind of like the Zoom meetings because you don't have to get across town and drive everywhere.
Yeah, that's a big advantage to Zoom meetings. And you don't have to find our weird driveway here. And you can have, a glass of wine, and if you want, that was something we always had at our regular meetings was some
It's not
beverages.
the same without the crackers and the cheese and the potato chips.
Yeah. No, the in-person interaction is nice also. I don't think we want to do it every time because we don't want to get from point A to point B, but yeah, maybe every other or something.
Another board I'm on is doing one in-person a quarter for the next year.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
And it ended up, it kind of worked out. They did like the holiday one in person, the one right after spring break in person. It's kind of related to school stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one at the end of the school year and one at the beginning of the school year. Like it kind of actually worked out naturally to do about 4 times a year in person. So just a thought.
That's a great idea. What does everybody think about that? I see Aaron says, yes, he likes that idea. So I see a hand, did I see a hand up? Mary Beth likes that idea. Rhiannon likes that idea. Yeah,
Ralph
looks like
likes that
that's,
idea.
yeah. Okay, I think I'll send that out in a general email. Maybe we could do a little quick survey, but that's a terrific idea. Thank you, Jennifer. So we will.
I never want to recreate the wheel, so happy to share.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, okay, the other thing I wanted to remind everybody, the Arts Activate program at OAC is now open through 7/26 for the first round. So anybody that's interested in that program, you need to get on the website and get your application started. And our OAC staff is always there with great guidance if you need it. So, and then Jennifer, there's going to be another round on that, correct?
There will be, and I think Glenn did a training today on Facebook that'll get posted too. It was about contracting with OAC, so all that stuff will get captured and posted for people information-wise. Okay.
Well, great. Well, I just wanted to remind everybody of that. So next on our agenda is our member spotlight. And so we have 2 groups we're going to spotlight today. And I'd like to start with Sara Cardona from Teatro Dallas. So Sara, why don't you go ahead and tell us about Teatro and what you have going on.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see everybody today. And I am really nice to be in. Sometimes it's great working from home, but then there's a lot of distractions too. So I'm really excited to be able to share a few things that Teatro Dallas is involved in. And just as a quick catch up, last year, we made it through 2020 in big part, shout out to our partnerships. So we partnered with Deep Vellum, and we partnered with Cara Mia and a couple of other local businesses and organizations. And I think it's a great model. So we're looking to do more of that with some of our fellow arts organizations this coming year. One of the things that came out of this very fruitful partnership we did last fall with Deep Vellum was to develop a show based on a local author and poet, Mike Soto, who's subsequently moved to New York City right now. And we had this very crazy team that was both 50% in New York and 50% in Dallas. And we did a lot of our work through Zoom and then some on the ground in the plaza of the Latino Cultural Center outside and in the middle of November last year. But that show was so successful that we are now, we've been invited to produce our first show in New York, and it is an iteration of this very same production at the ICE Festival, which is hosted by New Ohio Theater. So it's a very prestigious festival that is an Obie award-winning festival, and we are one of 7 productions that will be hosted throughout the summer. So at the end of this month, the developed with Vellum will be premiering in New York City. So we're super excited to be doing this there. And we're developing relationships that will now allow our Texas artists to be working in New York and vice versa. So we'll have, for our fall show, a New York director and actor who will come to Dallas again and stay with us for 5 weeks. And we will be doing a world premiere of a New York author here in Dallas with a theme about Puerto Rico and the Puerto Rican community. It's set in the 70s, but I think it's very timely because it revisits a lot of what Puerto Rico is going through right now. So this leads into the second part of one of the exciting things that we're doing this year, and that we will be showing that, we will be premiering that show at the unofficial kind of opening, or use rather, I shouldn't say opening, but use of the new Black Box Theater at the Latino Cultural Center. So while it won't be officially, you know, we won't have our groundbreaking, we will be developing a very unique show for that production in November. And we will be using the Black Box Theater. And as some of you know, Teatro Dallas, in collaboration with Academia Theater Company and the Office of Arts and Culture, are involved in a consolidated capital campaign to raise funds to outfit the theater. We are getting very close. We're approaching, well, we're about to be more than halfway. So really cannot say enough about how important it is for all of our arts community to be advocates for us in this space. Because as I've said to many people who will listen to us, the space, while we will have the benefit of having a home as a resident theater company along with Academia Theater Company in the Latino Cultural Center, as you all know, the Black Box is a benefit to everyone. So I like to think of the work that we're doing as really not just, you know, ensuring our longevity and stability, but as advocacy for all the arts groups that will come along with us and after us to be able to use this facility. So we, you know, share widely. We are still raising funds, and the funds has a direct impact on each and every arts organization that will use this space, because we want to make sure that it is outfitted with the best of the best equipment, lighting, sound, seating, etc. So that's the goal. And so we're in the midst of all of that and growing, still growing. So that's a good thing. And so I look forward to seeing you all in the fall and come check out our production and also to future collaborations. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Really exciting. So thank you so much for sharing that. And so now we're going to let Erin Glover talk about the Writers' Garret. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Erin.
Hey, y'all. For those of you who don't know me, I think I know most of you. My name is Erin Glover. I'm the executive director of the Writers' Garret. We are a 27-year-old literary nonprofit and here in Dallas. And off to that side, you can see our brand new logo. This is actually, we just officially debuted it today. We're really excited. It's been about 6 months in the making. What we do is support the literary community through education. We sit kind of at the crossroads of where literary arts and education meet. The three ways that we support people are through work with youth, and then we partner with other organizations, and we serve the literary community. The things that we're really excited about at this point, I also have to do one other plug, is our, oh no, can you see it? No, you can't see it. If I move fast, you can sort of see it if I move fast. This is the Common Language Project. This is our 4th year of the project, and the first year that we have been able to put it in hard copy. We are so excited about this, and a great big thank you to the folks at the AT&T Performing Arts Center and the Moody Fund for the Arts for supporting that. But we are wrapping up that for this year and already looking ahead at next year, the 5th anniversary edition. We're hoping to get some regional judges in and really get it out in front of the literary community of the country. Our summer program called Rail Riders, which takes kids on the DART trains and into the city and exploring, has just started. We partner with organizations kind of around the city. I think this summer we're working with Mercy Street, Family Gateway, Resource Center, and several other organizations. But we take a group of kids, we go down to Deep Ellum, we go down to the Arts District, and then we let them experience the city, and they walk around and they write about it, and then they share about it. We're really excited to get that going again this summer after not running it last year, so that's really exciting for us. And then in the fall, we're going to be back in classrooms. That's our big exciting challenge right now, is everyone saying, we're not sure what we're doing in the fall. And we're saying, cool, well, we're going to pretend like we know. So we're just going to keep working towards it. But we have already been talking with some school districts and some partner organizations. And so we're really excited to get back in front of kids and get them excited about language and reading and writing. So that's kind of what's going on for the Writers Garret right now. Thanks so much for listening.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and congratulations on a great new logo. And so before we move on to the next thing, I noticed that Benjamin Espino has joined us, and I just want to make sure everyone knows that Benjamin is the newly designated Assistant Director of the Office of Arts and Culture. So welcome, Benjamin, and congratulations.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you. I look forward to working with everybody. So.
Okay, so next on the agenda, Will Evans is with us from Vellum Publishing, and he's going to talk about the new Poet Laureate program partnership with the Office of Arts and Culture. So I'm going to turn it over to Will.
Thanks so much, Joanna. And it's cool to have the member spotlight today on 2 amazing organizations that we absolutely love and have been very kind to Vellum ever since I moved to Dallas. So snaps up for Writers Garret, who fiscally sponsored Vellum in the earliest days, and for Teatro Dallas, when Sada heard that vision for A Graves Given Supper and actually made it into a production, the first proper stage production in Dallas during the pandemic. I mean, talk about a dream come true, right? Vellum was founded to try to do stuff with literature that hadn't been done before, because Writers Garret was here doing amazing stuff, WordSpace was doing amazing stuff, and all of these other organizations that do great literary things too. Dallas Museum of Art, Latino Cultural Centers hosted amazing organizations, the universities, the schools, everybody's done cool things. We tried to bring a sort of new approach, and we tried to create a new language for what we wanted to do in Dallas, which was to use publishing as a vehicle to make public works of art that is literature, right? Storytelling, and in the printed form, so that we could disseminate it to the masses the same way you can print tickets to a show. We're trying to make people engage with literature in a brand new way in Dallas, right? Literature as an art form, but literature also as a universal act of storytelling. One of the things that we ran into at the very beginning with that for Vellum was there was a translation issue. We would talk about publishing, and people in Dallas, organizations, individuals, did not have the language through which publishing as a nonprofit enterprise about making literature available as a work of public art, that language had never existed in Dallas before. And so we had to create a new language. And so part of that was that Vellum had a business plan that was threefold. And number 1 was to publish great works of art. Number 2 was to program really engaging events that are discussion driven about bringing readers and writers into conversation anywhere and everywhere. That's cool. But then the third part that was absolutely vital to our mission was advocacy for literature, to get literature included in the pantheon of the arts in Dallas, to create more opportunities for readers, writers, translators, everybody to engage with storytelling, to become published writers, to become more engaged readers, to realize that their story is equally valuable to stories by writers from New York, which is where the publishing industry is in America, or in London or Paris or Tokyo or Moscow or anywhere in between, right? We had to create an entirely new language. Part of that I knew was going to be a slog, right? Because I was like the new kid on the block, right? I'm not from Dallas. I don't know anybody here. Here I am coming in with this idea that translations need to be published in Dallas, but that also Dallas writers need to be published here. There'd never been this kind of approach to literature in town before. And so one of the things we wanted to do was to collaborate with everyone who's awesome in town. We've been collaborating with the Writers Garret for 8 years. It's been awesome, right? Teatro Dallas was a new collaboration for us, but equally valuable because it was a new audience for us. And it was about engaging the Venn diagram of all the art forms, right? Literature does not exist in a silo. Let me tell you, visual and performing arts don't either. So I'm going to put it out there to everyone who's listening today. If you want to engage, Deep Vellum is there for you. We got the writers, we got the readers. Let's find new ways to do this, right? I'm looking at Wolford. While Wolford is at Taka, he worked with a guy named Jonathan Norton. How many of us here know Jonathan Norton and love him, right? How many of you have ever bought a book by Jonathan Norton? Trick question, not published. In what city, in what other city in the world would a writer of Jonathan Norton's caliber not be published? Only in Dallas, baby, and not anymore. Jonathan Norton's first book is coming out this fall. Penny Candy, which was a Taka / Dallas Theater Center / City of Dallas / Donna Wilhelm production, is going to be published and delivered to the masses around the world for the first time this fall. That's what Deep Vellum is able to offer, right? At the same time that we bring international authors here and do great stuff. So that's one example of like an ecosystem working, right? When an opportunity for a writer who's a playwright doing performing arts, he's also in the literary sphere, we're able to, boom, bring the Venn diagram together. That's why it's really important for Mike Soto, who's an amazing poet, but he doesn't write enough. And so what we did with him, with Sara, was to get his creative juices flowing. My man is creating like never before, and he's now a playwright. He adapted his own book of poetry into a stage production with grants that supported this from Taka and the City of Dallas. That's an ecosystem. It's all about an ecosystem to give opportunities to individuals to do what hasn't been done before and to do better what's been done before. We're standing on the shoulders of everyone who's come before us, right? So the Dallas Poet Laureate program, to make this all thing come together, you're getting my impassioned thing. Like it's working. This is when it's all working, when everyone on this Zoom call, whom I've gotten to know so well over 8 years for the most part, but some people I don't know super well, I want to get to know you, because when it works, we're all working together to elevate the art forms that we come from, to elevate our audiences and our artists, right? It's all about the rising tide, right? And so the Dallas Poet Laureate program came from part of my little ecosystem, part of my little advocacy box was Dallas needs an ambassador for literary arts who is not Will Evans, right? You need one who is an artist. You need one who is a writer. And a poet laureate position professionalizes literature in a major way for cities and communities, right? It has happened successfully in other cities around the country, including Houston, including Los Angeles, with long-standing programs in cities like Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, right? But I like to look to LA and, Houston, they're newer cities, newer programs, and they also involve partnerships with other organizations, which is really important because, again, you can't do this stuff in a silo. Deep Vellum could have been like, we got a poet laureate. Writers Garret could have been like, we got a poet laureate. We know all the poets. It wouldn't have been the same. So I approached Jennifer years ago and was like, all right, Office of Arts and Culture, I have an idea. We need a poet laureate for Dallas. And Jennifer was like, that's nice. Like, that's cool. I appreciate it. Like, there's a lot going on. But it came at the right time because that was when the city was doing the cultural plan update, right? And one thing was I tooted on the megaphone loud enough, and there were enough organizations already doing cool things, that literature got included in that cultural plan for the first time. That's a door opening, right? Little things. To everyone who attended that Wild Detectives listening session, baby steps to make positive change.
I am not kidding you. I got a call from the consultant the next day, and she said literary arts are going to be the big surprise sector to come out of this cultural plan. I mean, she was listening and watching that group, and I think the bar had to kick everyone out. So
yeah, the literature of Dallas is still going to surprise us, right? We are at the very tip of the iceberg with the great writers from this city and finding the next one. And so this is another important thing too. Every step leads to more opportunities, right? And so when I presented Jennifer this idea, I made a very rough sketch. It wasn't a beautiful PowerPoint or anything, but it was like, look, Houston and LA have a cool program and they partnered with the public libraries, and this is how they do it. This is how we could make it work in Dallas. And then we all remember in January 2021, I don't know where you guys were, but I was sitting on my couch watching the Biden inauguration. And how many of us watched Amanda Gorman do her amazing inauguration poem, right? All right. This is the kind of moment, it's a watershed moment for American history, right? And to have an artist with such a strong voice at such a young age, you must wonder, where did she get that, not just the talent, but that courage to stand up with such a strong voice in front of the whole world and to give that poem? She was a product of the LA Poet Laureate program. The first LA Poet Laureate that was created with a program through the city of LA and the LA Public Library. The first LA Poet Laureate said, gosh, I just discovered the best poet I've ever discovered in my entire life. And she's like 15. Her name is Amanda Gorman. We have to give her every opportunity to go succeed in this world. And so with that, the first Poet Laureate's guidance, they created a youth Poet Laureate program in LA. And Amanda Gorman was the first youth Poet Laureate of LA. Then she got her first publishing contract. And now she is the great poet of our American epoch, right? That is about opportunities and ecosystems. And I texted Jennifer Scripps on the couch. I said, we absolutely must visit this idea again. The next Amanda Gorman is in Dallas. We owe it to her to elevate her voice, man. We got to do this. And if we don't do it, no one ever will. And what's great about that was Jennifer goes, I've got enough stats behind me now. And Joe from the public library, the public library in the past year has stepped up. Their programming has changed. There's something going on in the water. Hit up the library to do programming. They are there now, man. And Joe was like, we were like gonna already do this. We already have a whole youth poet program. Let's do some stuff. Boom. Like next day, it feels like the Poet Laureate program is created and we iron out details and we do some consulting sessions with Houston and LA and we create this first program. What is so valuable about this is that no one owns it. It's a thing unto itself, but it's a true partnership. We're all in this. We're all gathered in the goal that this first Poet Laureate is going to open the door to more opportunities and to help us cement the legacy of literature and storytelling and poetry and the artist's voice that is a storyteller in our city for generations to come. That's the goal. Every Poet Laureate will be totally different with a totally different approach. But the one thing that's going to unite them all is that they are the ambassador of literature in town. They are the community builder for literature. They are what unites disparate organizations, disparate styles of writing, different styles of poetry, different styles of storytelling, different age groups, different demographics. We all know there are many Dallases. And this Poet Laureate is going to be one of the focal points for what Dallas can be, right? That's the goal. And so how did that happen? It was due to a little business plan that I wrote up 8-9 years ago. I said, Dallas needs a Poet Laureate. I wrote it on a cocktail napkin like Herb Kelleher. Like, I'm just like, here you go. We're going to need this one day. And just saying it out loud long enough. And if you say it out loud, you've given yourself the language through which something can exist, right? By saying it out loud and by writing it down, it becomes real. Literature and writing can change the world, right? This is an absolute fact. And thank you to everyone here who has ever believed that literature is part of the arts. For Joanna, for allowing the Writers Garret and Deep Vellum to show up in a conversation like this, for everyone who's ever partnered with us. And now the next thing we got to do, Lily, is get literature into the arts district, but that's just a joke for another day. But that's how this program came about. And it's a pure partnership, and it is a lot of parties who are really interested in the same goal. And so we're all really excited to figure out who the first Poet Laureate is going to be. Thanks for letting me rant for a bit, y'all. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Will. And we really have to work on putting more energy into your presentations.
I want to thank Noble Coyote's cold brew coffee on this hot day. I biked over from the arts district and I was really hot. And so I got really amped up, trying to dodge all the cars and then drinking some cold brew. So thank you, Noble Coyote. Thank you, Joanna.
Yeah, I thought you were mainlining Red Bull or something. So does anyone have any questions for Will before we move on? Okay, well, thank you, Will. That is really exciting. I think that's a huge step for Dallas and a really big step for Dallas. So great idea, and glad. I'm going to get some cocktail napkins now and write down all the stuff that I want to get accomplished in the next year or so. So moving on, we want to talk a little bit about an idea. This has actually been around for a long time. How many times have we all sat around and said, I wish there was one place we could go to and we could find all the arts organizations? And yes, we know that there are online resources and so on, but none of them is completely comprehensive, and most of them are outside of our control. So I was talking to Chris Heinbaugh recently about this issue, and he said, well, why don't we just do an arts directory ourselves? So he actually put together just a few sort of sample pages. And so we're putting that up on the or on the screen right now. So it would just, be something simple that we could keep on the DACAC website or anywhere else that, that we wanted to, have it available, or links to it. And it would just be the basic information, including contact information, and, just a little background on all the groups, maybe a few photos. So Hannah, why don't you kind of scroll through? We've just got like 3 examples up right now, but I just wanted to throw this out as an idea that we could work on. And, we could create a template or something so everybody could control what the information is. That would be on
the
your
idea
page.
is to just kind of, so that we all kind of keep track of the arts leadership. And as you know, for advocacy and other things, this way we've kind of got a good central. So if we need to, if there's a budget thing going on, we've got everybody to blast, and we've got all the people here. And if you're wanting to connect with, the leadership in one organization or another, or, keep up with the changes, we thought we would create this. And I think talking with Hector, I think what we'll probably do is create a Survey Monkey thing that you can go in and put your stuff, your information in there, and then we would kind of turn around and spit it out in something. And we just threw some pictures in there for the heck of it. It doesn't have to have that, but it just seemed like it would be nice to kind of have a central place, and you could print this out and keep it. And then as we update changes, you can change the pages out. It just seemed like it was, a good way for us to all of kind of keep in touch with each other, keep on top of changes within our organizations, at least at the top. So would love to hear your feedback. And again, we've got some samples there. And I think before we do this, what we'll probably do is kind of send out a test of a question, kind of a questionnaire. So if you see something that's missing, that'd be great. But the idea is too, you might, again, Hector will shoot me if I get too far ahead, but I'd like it so that if you want to kind of look at just theater, boom, you can pull up theater stuff if you're doing an online search or whatever. So anyway, that was kind of the idea, and would love to get any feedback that you guys have on that.
So does anyone have thoughts or ideas or questions or concerns?
Would it be too much to also list freelance artists? So if you're looking for a set designer, there's a list of local set designers. If you're looking for a guest director, here are the directors that could be available to you, and so forth. Would that be too much to try to do in this?
No, and that actually, Linda, thanks for mentioning that, because I think that was kind of going to be some next steps, is kind of individual artists and things like that, breaking it down. But I thought rather than try to bite off too much, we would start with organization and organizational leadership, and then kind of hear back kind of what people think might be the next step. And it just seemed like it might be something nice to pull together. And, it's something that Joanna and the center, we're willing to kind of pull those pieces together for everyone. If it's something people feel would be useful. If everyone's like, I don't need that, we're not going to spend the time doing it. But I kind of thought it would be useful, especially because sometimes I'm trying to get a hold of somebody, and usually I'd have their leadership and then like their marketing or PR. And sometimes I need a logo for something, or I need a picture really quick, and I've got to jump through 5 hoops, whereas here I might actually be able to turn to it really quickly and be able to connect with someone and get the material I need.
Well, I frequently have people asking me to recommend a lighting designer or a stage manager or whatever. And if there was something like this, it might be really helpful to them, so that they don't have to just rely on people I know. I mean, I'm getting old, and a lot of the new people are coming in and I don't know them. So it would be good to have that information somewhere.
Yeah, and I think the idea is that it's driven by you all putting your information in. So it's not because, you know, none of us have the time to track everyone down, but as you update information, or we may put a, you know, an email blast out saying, you know, we're updating every quarter, make sure all your information's current, and then, you know, sending out a push like that. But, you know, the idea is I don't want to suck up Hector's time or our time or Joanna's time doing that. But the idea is it's kind of like with the KERA, right? Art and Seek. You kind of put it in there and it ends up feeding a whole bunch of feeds. And so the idea is it's the onus is a bit on the groups to make sure that their information is current, but we'll be doing reminders and put it in a format that if you want to print it out, that's great.
I think it'd be a huge help. Go ahead.
I was going to say OAC can help with this. We're really, as we're launching Culture Pass, we're compiling all marketing contacts for arts organizations. So I'm happy to also help share that information.
That would be great. Does anyone else have a comment or a question or a suggestion regarding the idea of an arts directory?
Well, and we have the
OAC
artist directory, to Linda's point, for freelancers. And that's on our website. I think what Chris is talking about for organizations would be super helpful, but realizing that that'll be enough for them to probably say grace over in terms of new work. The artist directory is where we really got to send the freelancers. And that's online. I can send that link to you.
We also, on the Visit Dallas site on the Film Commission, we also have a directory. So we'd have some information there that we'd be happy to share, but maybe it would be more useful to have like a link that goes directly to that website versus trying to manage all of that too.
Well, it would be, again, keep in mind, this is not a holistic arts organization. It's really about leadership, so that we know how to contact. If I need to get a hold of Sada, I know, boom, I can open up Teatro Dallas. There's her information. There's her marketing person. And so it's not so much a public resource in terms of arts organizations. This is really for us as arts leaders, being able to, you know, connect a little better and know very quickly how I can find somebody if I need them.
Got it.
But it could have a public benefit.
From a media standpoint, it really is essential. I know that, you know, during the pandemic, many of the media contacted us, and a directory like this is spot on to be able to get that information quickly.
And it could be you just provide a link to the OAC list directory of individual artists.
Yeah.
So that would be simple to do.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Okay,
I don't hear anybody saying that it's an awful idea, so we'll move forward if that's all right.
Okay, thanks, Chris. I really think it would be helpful. So, okay, moving on. I hadn't actually intended to put this on the agenda today. This is something that has probably come to everybody's attention relatively recently, but Sammons Center is planning an expansion to develop a second facility. And that's something that's been needed for a long time. And I've been getting so many people calling me with questions that I thought it might be helpful just to give a brief overview. And we're really just at the beginning of this. So, you know, I don't know exactly what it will look like, but I do know where it will be. And that's the number one question is, where is Commonwealth? So this is at Commonwealth in Stemmons. So I put up a helpful Google map. And none of you have ever had any reason to take the Commonwealth exit because only semi-trucks exit there. They're headed over to Irving Boulevard. And so that is a warehouse district. It is in West Dallas. And it is just past the point where 183 and I-35 come together. So it's south of Mockingbird and north of Inwood. There is nothing there now. It is just a vacant piece of property. So we just concluded a long negotiation with the city of Dallas. This was a piece of surplus property. This happened because the Trinity Parkway project was canceled. This was land that was purchased so that there could be a ramp that would come off the freeway and would link up with that new toll road that ended up not being built, ended up being canceled. So, and I want to, I want to give great thanks to the city of Dallas for giving us this opportunity. So we will build probably it will end up being 3 facilities. That's what we envision right now, but the Sammons Center will raise the money. This is not something we're expecting the city to do. And we'll raise the money to operate. So it is, it is a good location. It's not in downtown, but it's close enough for the groups that need to, get to the arts district. I want to stress that this is not a competitive project with any of the other facilities, whether those are in the Arts District or they're the Latino Cultural Center or the South Dallas Cultural Center or the Bathhouse. These are supplemental facilities, just in the same way Sammons Center operates now. We will have places for rehearsal and auditions and meetings and workshops and trainings and offices, and hopefully production space for virtual programming and places for visual artists, places for literary artists, places for filmmakers. We want to really have a very broad understanding of what our arts community entails. So this is that space for everyday art, which is exactly what we do here. Now we will have some performance space, but it will be in the form of a black box theater. That would be one of the facilities. We don't yet know what size. We don't know exactly what that looks like yet. So the first facility would be an incubator. The second facility is a theater. And then the third thing we'd like to develop is affordable live work space for artists. And we're actually talking with Art Space Projects in Minneapolis about partnering with them and developing space because we know a lot of artists can't afford to live in Dallas. So this would not be just visual artists. This would be for any kind of artist. This could be dancers. This could be choreographers, actors, writers, poets, filmmakers. As long as it's a legitimate art form and it's a person that's really actually legitimately working in their art form, even if they have a day job. So this is a concept that's really been perfected by Art Space Projects. They've done over 40 of these projects around the country. And so we are excited about the chance to maybe work with them on this, but one way or another, we want to make sure artists can live and work in Dallas. Another question I'm getting is what will happen to the current Sammons Center? Nothing will happen to the current Sammons Center. We will be continuing to operate this facility as we always have, but what this new facility does is take a lot of pressure off of this facility as we operate beyond capacity. And we often have more people here than we can really handle. And of course, you all know our famous lack of parking. So parking is going to be a big priority for us. Yeah.
I wanted to just interject something if I could. First I want to say that, Teatro Dallas had a space in that very area for 18 years. So we did have patrons who went down there. I also want to say that we have a facility just across the street from you in River Bend, which is, we moved over 1 block from, we were on Record Crossing Road, which, as you know, is a road right after Commonwealth. We also, I'm sharing this with everyone because I would love for everyone to know that because of the Moody Fund last year, we were able to renovate and expand a facility, which, since it's just me and one other person running the theater, the organization right now, we haven't really gotten that word out, but we're just taking photographs and we will be sharing that with the arts community. But it leads me to think about the fact that over the years, I've lived in Dallas for most of my life, and I've seen all sorts of iterations of the artists coming into communities to work, and lots of good intentions with, for example, Mar had partnered with UTD for a while to have artists living there in the basement, and that had some success. And then we've seen this in other places. And I think one of the things that is always brought up with these facilities is about addressing the community and working with the warehouse district on that side. There is a huge community of people in the Love Field area that have no access to the arts. So I think that this is just a suggestion, but as you all develop, the plans for this, it would be really great to have some sort of like, I don't know if it's a minor task force, or I don't know what the right word is, some sort of group of people who can really think about how to engage that community that is mostly still Hispanic, by the Love Field area that runs all the way down. And then, just on the other side of West Dallas. And then there's a small area of very, very humble, small homes right across from, I believe it's Arcadia. Is on, they're mostly Black families. There are a lot of who could really benefit from the arts in the community, but I think that we can look at past models of what's worked and what hasn't worked, so that as artists are going in and as that neighborhood changes, because I think that is the future, that corridor is just an expansion of the design district. And then, there are residents who live over there. I would love to just encourage, our DACA community to really think about how we can maybe engage those residents as all of that's getting developed. Because I think it's a fantastic idea. I'm excited because we're there, so it'll be really nice to have, other artists and seeing that expansion through that whole region is wonderful. But I do know there are also residents who live there who could really, really benefit from our contact with them.
Well, Sara, you could not have set me up with a better segue. So our next steps here, we have two very important next steps. The first one is to resurvey the arts community and do some focus groups over the summer to make sure we truly understand how the arts have changed post-pandemic, so that what we design addresses any kind of new needs, and so that we don't build things that will not be needed because everything has changed. The second important thing we need to do is create an advisory group of the stakeholders in that part of Dallas, and we're going to be working with the council member to make sure that what we design resonates with the people who live and work in that part of Dallas, and that it meets with the vision and the planning that's already underway, and that it is accessible and welcome. And so I really appreciate your comments, and that was a really thoughtful way of explaining, kind of the history of that area and how things stand now. So we want to make sure that we are good partners and that we contribute value as we build this. So we absolutely will take that to heart. So thank you very much. I also want to recognize the people who've helped us get to this point, or the groups that have helped us get to this point. So we've been fortunate to get 2 grants, actually 3 grants now from the Better Together Fund. But we had partners who've been helping us as we've been designing the concept. And those partners are Katamia Theater, Bruce Wood Dance, Creative Arts Center, and the Greater Dallas Youth Orchestra. And Social Impact Architects has also helped us a lot with some of the coordination. But we felt it was very important as we were getting into this to make sure we had people at the table on a regular basis with us representing some of the primary disciplines and also representing youth and so on. So they've been absolutely instrumental in helping us enlarge and enhance this idea. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew we weren't doing this in a vacuum, and we don't want to do this in a vacuum. We want to make sure that everyone's voices are heard. And so we're going to be coming back to you. We want your input. We want your ideas. We don't know what it's going to cost yet. We won't know until we actually have a design. Hopefully by this fall, we'll have enough information from the community and from the arts community so that we can finalize an architectural program, and then we'll do an RFP to select a local architect. We're not going to go out and get a fancy architect. We have plenty of really fabulous, talented architects right here in Dallas. So we're going to use a local architect, and then we hope that all of you will participate and feel like it's a place you can come and new groups as they're just starting. getting up and running. We want those people. We want individual artists. So it's, it's exciting. It's daunting. It's, it's a big undertaking, but it's something we've actually dreamed about for many years, because we have a long waiting list of groups here who need office space and other resources. And we have been frequently turning people away for years because we just don't have enough space for everything that needs to happen here. So I just wanted to, kind of get out ahead of some of the things that are kind of percolating out into the arts community, and give all of you kind of a status report on where things stand, and welcome your participation and your input, and more to come. So does anyone have any questions or anything further on that? Okay. All right.
Well, I would say congratulations.
I have a question.
On your great editorial.
Oh, thank you.
In the Dallas Morning News.
Thank you. Will.
I have a question for you, Joanna. When it comes time to fill that beautiful space, can we apply for something? Like, how are we going to be able to fill that space with you? You know what I mean? Like, what can we do to get some bodies in there? I'm thinking about all these writers. You mentioned poets. How are we going to get some poets in there? What can we do to actually, get together and collaborate on that aspect of it?
Well, we're still working on those ideas, but it's, it's just like it is here. You call us up and you say, I need this space on this day, or I need an office space, or I need whatever. And then we just say, well, here's what we can give you, or here's what we have to offer. And I think having the flexibility of 2 locations means that, if one is booked up, then we've got places for other people. We also will be able to add some rehearsal spaces that are specific to a discipline. Everything here is multi-purpose, so being able to have rehearsal spaces that are really good for dance, or really good for music, or really good for theater, or really good for filmmaking, or whatever it is, I think will be helpful. But we'll also still have some multi-purpose space so that we can accommodate those things that maybe we don't know about yet. But we'll make sure it's affordable, and that it's safe, and that it's the best we can possibly create. Other questions? Okay, I think we're going to move on then. And Anne, I noticed that Anne Graham joined us. Anne, welcome. Thank you. She's going to give us just a very quick update on the Texas legislature.
All right.
So I'm going to turn it over to Anne.
Thank you, and congratulations, Joanna, for this, and you and the whole team, and bravo to the city of Dallas also for their leadership. And a couple of the other examples that exist in the state with art space are El Paso has an art space, and Galveston has an art space, and I think Marcy Dallas in
Houston.
Houston Museum District. So there's some good models that exist. Right now, we're in a brief hiatus at the Texas legislative session. The session was over on, in fact, I think I spoke with you, remember when I spoke with you last, the session was over on May 31st. And the much hard worked for $10 million for the TCA cultural districts was in the final budget, and also remained in the final budget through the governor's veto period, which ended on June 20th. And he literally has line item veto power, but left our 10 million intact. What is very important about that is not just that it's $10 million, but that it now will have been in the budget for multiple years. So our goal is for it to be just considered part of the base. And my goal next year is to ask for more. There were 46 cultural districts did this last round, and now there were just 4 more that were added last week. So there are a few more, including, I'm trying to remember where they all are. Laredo was one of them I know has been working hard on that. The next thing that is happening is there will be 2 special sessions. There's a first special session starting on July 8th. That will be focused, only the governor can call a special session. He ascribes what will be on that in the session, and only issues related to those topics can be heard. So you can't just bring a bill that you wanted from the regular legislative session that didn't happen. It has to be related. The 2 primary things are following up on Senate Bill 7, which is the voter bill. I forget what it's called. But it is the major voter one, when the Democrats walked out and made it so there was no quorum, and that has failed. So that is the #1 priority of leadership. And another one is a cash bail bond issue, and then there are TBD. There will be other initiatives that are brought forth. We don't know about that. Again, it can run up to 30 days and remains to be seen. We don't have any direct line of work on that. We have not taken a political stand on the voter initiatives, something worthy of talking about because it's really about democracy and something that I think we should be speaking up about, but has not been part of our formal legislative agenda. The second special session will happen sometime in September and or October. That will be focused around redistricting and the redrawing of all our political boundaries. They are waiting for the census data for that, and then the American Rescue Plan. So those are the two very, very weighty objects, which will be in the second session, and no finalized dates. I haven't had a chance to follow up with Jennifer or any of you in the know about what Dallas is doing regarding the American Rescue Plan, whether the arts community is going after some allocation of that to replace some of the loss of hotel tax or whatever the other losses are. Been working a lot with municipalities on that, trying to make sure that everybody is following up to help secure some of those monies. We are working with the Texas Cultural Trust and the Texas Commission on the Arts on a statewide request. We did submit a $10 million CARES request in last August, which did not get funded, but actually nothing got funded other than unemployment, filling the gap in unemployment. It wasn't an anti-art thing, but we're not sure. Our lobbyist is very conservative about what she thinks we can ask for. I don't know, you've probably been reading in at least in my social media stream, the tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars that are being allocated in states. Texas is not among that list. Would love to see it be on that list. We'll be putting together a campaign, but how that all comes together, we'll be working on for the next couple months. And we'll be reaching out to all of you, of course, in that process as well. So that's where we are right now, a brief lull before more storms. Any questions? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Anne. Yeah, we'll stay tuned. I know it's, everyone has some concern when the Texas legislature gets together, so. Okay, do we have, I think that's the end of everything we had planned to talk about today. So do we have any other things we need to bring before our group before we let you go? Oh, Mary Beth says the DT pit opens tomorrow. So you can find that on the Visit Dallas website. Thank you, Mary Beth.
Yeah.
Hold on one sec. I just got an email. So we do have new council leadership over the quality of arts, life, and culture. And so the mayor has named Adam Bazaldua as the chair of the committee, and Chad West is the vice chair. And then we also have on there on the committee, Carolyn King Arnold, Paula Blackman, Omar Narvaez, Paul Ridley, and Casey Thomas. So very nice, good group there. Breaking news.
That is a good group. Yeah. That is a good group.
Yeah, it's great to hear.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, we have a pretty arts-friendly council. So, you know, we're excited that we're going to have our 4 new council members with us in our July 28th meeting. So mark your calendars for that and bring your questions, and just let's make sure that we keep them engaged, invite them to our events, and you know, make sure that we know who their cultural affairs commissioners are, etc. So any other comments, questions?
Like Ralph has a comment or a question.
Okay, Ralph, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been in a couple of performances lately that use the QR code, and that's an interesting new concept. They use it for the program, for donations, etc. Except in almost every case, the building we were in didn't have good Wi-Fi reception, and so it was frequently almost useless. So I'm wondering, with all this various money coming in, COVID and, structure and whatever to the city, maybe we should petition the city to put in free Wi-Fi at most of the city facilities.
It's a good idea.
I'm not sure, but I think there is a plan to try to do that. I could be wrong, but I think there is an effort to get it beyond just the libraries, but to more public facilities.
I see Benjamin nodding his head.
I can speak for the cultural centers. All cultural centers have free Wi-Fi. So I don't know about, I can find out about rec centers, but I believe they do too. But definitely.
I know all the parks centers, rec centers and stuff do. Because I see people park there to get their kids.
Yeah.
They can do the homework and stuff.
I thought Moody Performance Hall has free Wi-Fi.
They do.
Yeah. Well, we count it as one, we call it a cultural center too. So
right. Okay. Got it.
Space.
Thank you.
But I think my sense is that there is a push to try to get, with using some of the ARP money, is to try to get some of that Wi-Fi infrastructure further out into the city. I could be wrong, but I think that was part of the discussion just recently.
A lot of the neighborhood meetings where they're discussing parks, new parks and public art and all of that, the citizens are bringing up that they would like to see Wi-Fi in those park areas. So I think there is a push to have that happen.
Yeah, I think it's two issues. I think, there's a lot of places that do have Wi-Fi, but then is it robust enough for many users to be, doing things online at the same time? And so that's the other half of the equation. And I know we just updated ours during COVID because we had so many groups wanting to do live streams here. So I think that's the other side of things is, some of the infrastructure may need updating just to allow, more people to use it or use more bandwidth.
Yeah,
we can certainly advocate for that.
Yeah, one of the venues was the Windspear.
Yeah, we do have it there. It's not surprising, AT&T Wi-Fi.
Okay. Anything else before we end this session?
Real quick.
Yes.
I just wanted to really quickly introduce myself. And my name is Albert Lewis Wash II. I'm Teresa Wash's son. I'm the associate artistic producer here at the Bishop Arts Theater Center. And I just graduated from college actually in May from Point Park University. I got a BA in theater, directing, concentration, and musical theater minor. And so it's just being here in this meeting has been a blessing because I was in the art in theater before I left for college. But now that I'm like actually in it and, seeing the business side of things and just seeing how much it's grown is truly a blessing. And I think that coming to Dallas was a better choice than going to New York or LA or Chicago because, me personally, I want to build something, own for myself and create and give opportunities. And I feel like that Dallas is the perfect spot for that. And so it's just been a blessing. So I want to thank you all.
Well, thank you and welcome. And do you go by Al?
You can call me Al, yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah. All right, well, we're glad to have you and congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, anything else? Okay, well, I guess we're done then. Thank you, everybody. It was wonderful to have you and we look forward to the next one.